Hi, my name is Shannon, and I'm an industrial designer and educator at Pratt Institute. And sometimes when I work from home, I find myself sitting like this. We all know this isn't good for our backs, but we do it anyways. And with COVID-19 forcing many of us to work from home on our laptops, we're hunched over more than usual. This can lead to backaches and headaches and just added stress. One study, published in Nature Research in 2018, even found that we're growing horns in the back of our necks from looking at our smartphones. While this study received a lot of media coverage, its research methods have largely been debunked, and only the test of time will show whether we are evolving or devolving. But while we're stuck at home, we can use some materials around the house and some basic ergonomic principles to make sure our workstations are as ergonomic as possible. So without a laptop stand on the left and with a laptop stand on the right, as you can see on the right with the computer at eye level, you have better posture and you're not straining your back as much. So we're going to grab some things around the house, some scissors, some tape or glue, something that's adhesive, some paper, a pen, a ruler, and some cardboard. We can start by Googling here real quick just to see what's on the market. Obviously, we'll be working with different materials, so there will be some limitations, but you can get some ideas for some different features to include. Is the height gonna change? Will it have a spot to put your mouse? How high is it? Just some things to look at and get some ideas. These ones that are made out of wood are good because they're a similar-ish material to the way we're gonna be treating the cardboard. So they're good for inspiration. And then you can get to sketching. So if you use a folding one and you have some duct tape lying around, you can use that as a hinge. Maybe you want to make a stop to store some papers. And if you want to change the height, we might be able to do that as well. Just try and come up with some different ideas and be creative to problem solve while using the materials that you have around the house. Try and think of any feature when you're brainstorming. You don't have to make it, but if you make something that's maybe a little crazy, you can always tone it back a little and make something that is practical. And you don't really need to over-design it either. You can make something very minimal just to raise your computer. And then go back through your sketches and pick a couple out that you want to make some little test models for. When you start to explore things in the test models, you can get an idea for if it's going to work or not, and we can explore how we're going to do it with the material that we have. So you can use some cardstock or thicker paper. Ideally, in a scale model, we'd want to use a material that's the same thickness to scale as the final material, but whatever you have around the house works. Just to get an idea for the shape and the function. So if we were going to do one that changes the height, like this one here, when you get into making the scale model, you can see that it needs to bend backwards instead of forwards. So you can kind of start to work with how the motion of things and the way it's going to carry the support works or doesn't work. Scale models are a great way to explore different design ideas that you have. And we are making this out of cardboard, but cardboard can be a great material. There was a famous furniture designer, Frank Gehry, who is really well known in the design world for making cardboard chairs. So there's really a lot that you can do with this once we get started. Here I'm making one with tabs to try and give it some more support to hold papers there. This is a great way to explore alternative ways of holding the paper together if you don't necessarily have that much tape. Maybe you're working with glue. You could make some tabs and make sure it's just pinned down while the glue is setting, and it will work out really well. It also makes things stronger in spots where it needs some added support. Like this model here, you can see that it has a little weak in the middle, so there might be a need to add some more support there on the inside so it stays together. But the tabs really do add some more structure to it. And once you find something structurally like that, you don't have to test it out on a full scale model. You could make a cardboard model of a hinge or a reinforcement like this with the tabs to see how it would work in the material that you're working with. It'll really help out and save on time too. So you don't make a full scale model and then realize that it's too weak. Cardboard has a grain to it like this, and as we know, it can be weaker along that grain, but if you make a waffle structure by layering it, it makes it a lot stronger and more rigid. So the next step is to make a flat pattern. So you can do this really easily by taking apart the little scale model that you have and measuring your laptop and your desk situation to make sure that the screen is at eye level. You can refer back to your drawings for this. Now when you go to cut, if you're using a box cutter or a knife, you want to make sure it's pulled in as much as possible so there's only a little bit of the blade out. And if you're aligning it and with the ruler, you want to make sure your fingers are out of the way and there's something underneath it to make sure you don't cut the floor underneath whatever you're cutting. As you can see, my workstation here is all set up. Now go see how creative you can be, and don't forget to tag us with hashtag Pratt Youth at Home.